What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the House Brewing Company YouTube channel, where inside of this cooler today we are tasting 4 non-alcoholic IPAs. All right, so I gotta tell you guys, making and crafting beer is my entire life, and thus far to this point, I haven't had a non-alcoholic beer that tastes as good as beer that has alcohol in it. Certainly a lot of folks abstain from drinking alcohol for a lot of different reasons that I respect. But for me, so far, even in our own trials, it seems like one of those things that's really hard to make as good as the real version. Hopefully the market's made some progress on this ideal. Again, I respect people's choices and certainly understand why people enjoy or drink non-alcoholic beer and non-alcoholic things. That said, I don't want a cake without sugar, and I certainly don't want ice cream without cream. Let's see what we got. So we're not going to sample blind today because I've never had any of these beers, and it might be fun to get my reaction. The reason we sample blindly generally is so that I don't have any bias and I can give you guys my feedback as objectively as possible. Today, because we are outside, we have commandeered a random construction site. I'm just going to pull them out, drink them right out of the can, give you guys my impressions, and then rank them 1 through 4. Let's see what we got. Oh, it looks like Michael's got some, he's got a zombie dust in here. That's for after we finish the tasting. All right. Looks like we have a Best Day Brewing Hazy IPA born in Northern California. We have a Two Roads non-alcoholic Juicy IPA. We have a Rescue Club Zero Gravity non-alcoholic IPA. We have Treehouse Electrolytes, which I'm going to also crush after this video. And the final beer that we have today is Athletic Brewing Company Run Wild IPA. All right, so before I dive in, I just want to give you a quick primer on what constitutes non-alcoholic versus alcohol-free. For something to be labeled as alcohol-free, it has to contain 0% alcohol by volume. And for something to be labeled as non-alcoholic, it has to contain 0.5% alcohol by volume or less. So, non-alcoholic actually can have trace amounts of alcohol in it. So knowing that, all of the beers in today's panel are non-alcoholic. I think a good example of a mass market alcohol-free beer is actually Heineken 0.0. That one is known to have absolutely no alcohol at all. Another thing I want to mention before I sample is that alcohol not only brings flavor and texture to a beer, but it actually has a reasonable amount of viscosity. So one of the typical complaints about a non-alcoholic IPA, for example, is that it's lacking that mouthfeel, that richness, that fullness that you get from an IPA that has traditional alcohol inside of it. So I'm going to move from right to left. Drinking out of the can today. These beers are nice and ice cold. Hot sunny day here in Eastern New York. We're drinking Best Day Brewing. Really nice can, great design, guys. Brewed for doers, surfers, climbers, early risers, free divers, chefs, gardeners, dancers, oyster farmers, dreamers, painters, builders, mothers, etc., 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 etc. I like that. Brewed and packaged by Best Day Brewing, Sausalito, California, under special agreement, Waunakee, Wisconsin. I wonder what that means. That hasn't happened all day. All right, so this is Best Day Brewing non-alcoholic Hazy IPA. I don't even think it has a name. I think it's just Best Day Brewing Hazy IPA non-alcoholic. On the nose, in the can, it smells like literally nothing. It smells like nothing. It smells like nothing. Maybe there's a hint of tangerine. Any of the non-alcoholic IPAs that I've historically tried have this like graininess to them. It tastes like unfermented beer. It tastes like, boiled wort. It tastes like what we taste before we ferment the beer generally. It has that like malty, caramelly sweet aroma. It's very subtle. Doesn't smell like much, but what I can smell is that aroma. It tastes like seltzer water that someone took a fresh orange and squeezed into it. And that's pretty much it. A little bit orangey, a little bit citrusy, very, very watery. Mouthfeel is non-existent. Very easy to drink, very pleasant. But it just doesn't taste like much. It's so light. And it has that finish that I associate with all non-alcoholic IPAs that I've tried. It's ashy and bitter and dry and astringent. There's no body to build up that bitterness, and it just lingers on your tongue. All that said, you know, I will be extra critical perhaps of this style of beer. This one I didn't love. Moving into Two Roads non-alcoholic juicy IPA. Not much else to say about this one. Slightly more calories than the last one. This one has lactose. Let's see if adding lactose can help. Whoa, that's very floral. Very floral. It brought me back to like, I had like a nostalgic hit of like lilac bush. It smells like a lilac. Lilac, I don't know how else to describe it, but that's how it smells. Whoa, oof. Floral, very floral. Did I mention that it's floral? Did you catch that? It's a little bit resinous. The lactose doesn't do much to help. In fact, it gives it a sweetness without adding any body. In comparison to the first beer, it actually kind of makes the flavor and the drinking experience slightly worse, in my opinion. Wow, okay. That's Two Roads Juicy IPA, non-alcoholic. Sample number 3 is Rescue Club non-alcoholic IPA. Looks like this one has 95 calories, which is quite a bit more than the first one, which had 53. And then the Two Roads had 70. So something about this one gives it extra calories. We are charting a new course in non-alcoholic brewing. Deeply rooted in New England's craft brewing culture, we bring you a non-alcoholic IPA that bursts with notes of citrus, pine, and tropical fruit. Bright and refreshing, we invite you to join the club. We got 2 grams of protein in here, boys. Let's go. You can drink like 10 of these, you're gonna get like a meal's worth of protein. Hoppy. This one smells more like hop extract. It's got that real potent, concentrated resin character. These are very, very light on the nose. I'm pulling flavor, tasting notes out of these cans. They're light and watery. I just don't like these. It's nothing against any of the brewers that have put these beers into the can. I've just spent my whole life becoming familiar with and falling in love with a certain expectation when I drink a beer that these beers just lack. They lack the thing that we love about these beers. We don't necessarily love the buzz, and we don't necessarily love the extra calories, but we do like the flavor profile. We do like the viscosity. We do like the accompaniment of the heat with the hops. And these beers just lack it. And I have a hard time with it. And even as a compromise, I can't get myself to enjoy it. This is earthy and leafy and vegetal, very watery, very dry. Doesn't taste like you're getting much more for your extra calories than you are with these other two. So that's Rescue Club non-alcoholic IPA by Zero Gravity. Moving into the final sample, probably the most well-known of the tasting bunch, Athletic Brewing Company. Let's see what we got here. At Athletic Brewing Company, we are pioneering a craft brew revolution. We believe you shouldn't have to sacrifice your ability to be at your best to enjoy great brews. So we created our innovative lineup of refreshing non-alcoholic craft brews. 65 calories, ingredients, water, malted barley, oats, hops, wheat, and yeast. So as far as I know, there's 2 ways of making non-alcoholic IPA. You can either use a yeast that doesn't turn maltose into alcohol, or you can make a beer that has alcohol in it and then strip the alcohol out later on. It's not clear to me how any of these beers are made, but I just thought for viewers at home, it'd be important to mention. This is Athletic Brewing Company Run Wild IPA. very little going on in the nose. Like a little bit of citrusy hop, very leafy. It's got that boiled wort characteristic that I just can't get over. This one is also a little bit floral. It's reminding me a bit of that lilac characteristic that I got in the Two Roads non-alcoholic IPA on the flavor. Floral. This one has a little bit beefier and juicier of a texture. Not super citrusy, not super tropical. It's just kind of more filling, kind of fills the mouth. Perhaps they use some calcium chloride to boost that mouthfeel. But something is going on in the beer here that makes it a little bit richer on the palate. But still, that flavor profile is leafy hop and pine, earthy, and floral. And floral attributes are coming through in a couple of these beers, unlike I've ever experienced before. All right, so as I so often do, I've got my first impressions. I'm going to go through one more time before I decide on a final ranking. Wow, this few minutes of heat is not doing these guys any favors. You said you had a clear favorite?
I do, personally.
Was it a clear favorite like, wow, I want to drink this? Or was it a clear favorite like, this is the best of these?
This is the best of these.
Okay. This is hard for me. I'm having a really hard time. They get worse as they warm up. This one's heavily oxidative now that I've drank it quite a bit. Really got that wort character. I'm starting to like the Two Roads more. More of that like kind of resiny, citrusy pine character is coming forward as I drink it a little bit more. This one I don't like. I don't think I like numbers 1 and 3. I think I like numbers 2 and 4. Right now is where I'm kind of honing in. This one's really falling off as it warms up. Same thing with the Zero Gravity. These two are tasting more similar the more that I drink them. I'm going Two Roads, Juicy IPA, Athletic is my number 2, Zero Gravity is my number 3, and Best Day Yet is my least favorite. Do you think if you added alcohol to these, they would taste better? Like, do you think there's something in the brewing process that makes them taste the way that they do, and then by adding the alcohol back? Or I think that there's too much residual sugar. I think it would taste different.
Maybe we should try it.
I think we should try it. We're gonna do an upcoming video where we add alcohol to non-alcoholic beer and see if it makes it better. Everything in life is good in moderation, including moderation, and I hope that we can figure out a way to make non-alcoholic beer taste as good as its alcohol-containing counterpart. That's all for today, guys. Drink well, drink what you like. We'll see you next time.